Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospero.ai stock market live streams. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. We got some snow here over the weekend in Bergen County, New Jersey, where I'm tuning in for the stream today. So we have a chilly day here. I hope everybody's staying warm. We are having a lot of cold across the US right now, but the stock market is certainly not keeping us heated up. We are in the red here today across the board. And it is a bit surprising with how much some stocks are down and how the indices are, still trading at relatively close to all-time highs. So we'll get into some of that later on. We got a bunch of people rolling in now. Welcome in, everybody. Smash that like button if it's your first time here, if it's your 10th time here, 100th time here. We appreciate you. We got a lot of great topics to get into today. I will take you all through what we are going to discuss on this stream. And then George will join me in just a bit. We have JC in the building. Happy Monday. Grumpy market today. Grumpy market indeed. And we shared some details as to why the market might be in a bad mood in the newsletter yesterday. And that is where we're going to begin on our topics today with the yen carry trade coming back into the mix of things. Do you guys remember the quick market plunge? I believe it was in the summer of 2024, in the beginning of August. There was like a 2 to 3 day period where the market really took a tumble quickly, and the VIX climbed rapidly, and that was from the yen carry trade. And it looks like those fears and panic and worries and problems because of it are coming back. We'll discuss what the Bank of Japan meeting, which is actually this week, means for the market. It's surprising that the U.S. market is affected this much by that, but we are seeing it right now for sure. We have Nick here. Hey all, happy Monday, Nick. Welcome back. I want to check actually at the SPY and QQQ net option sentiment here in the beginning. They were very, very low recently and low today last time I checked. And yes, we are still seeing this. QQQ is reading 3 right now, and the SPY is reading 0. So pretty poor signals. That's why we had more shorts than longs this week in the investing newsletter at 5 versus 4. So position pretty bearishly at the moment. A lot of growth stocks are getting hit hard today. We will get into all of those. Some topics I want to go through are Alibaba's Quen model now leading the open source market in downloads. So it's interesting because we've been talking about how Facebook was Meta was kind of the leader in this open source AI movement. And maybe that's why their stock had been doing so well. And kind of this switch we're seeing now where Alibaba's Quen model is leading in downloads. Maybe this is why we've seen some Meta weakness recently. And it's interesting. Alibaba stock has looked good in our signals for most of the year. And I want to check in right now how it's performed this year. I think it's surprisingly strong. Let's see. Yeah, up 78% year to date. So Alibaba's AI tech catching a bid at the moment, and the stock has been able to sneakily outperform the markets this year. So we'll take a look at that stock as well and how George feels about them at the moment. We're going to cover the Broadcom earnings and the state of AI because Broadcom, the second biggest chip manufacturer behind NVIDIA, fell on their earnings. They didn't seem to say anything too worrisome, but a big reaction, especially for a trillion-dollar company. So I want to ask George, in the cycle of AI, where are we at currently? Have all of the benefits been priced in? So we've seen some of these stocks multiples expand, and they've obviously had such great gains over the past couple of years. Maybe everybody's just taking a break and we're re-gearing for that next round. We will see. We have a company declaring bankruptcy. iRobot, which was the maker of, or is the maker of Roomba, the automated little vacuums, declared bankruptcy. And I want to ask George, this product seems like it has a good little fit right there. Like I would expect this company to do well. I'm wondering why they were never able to gain any success, any traction with it, and if he thinks it's an interesting acquisition for maybe. I think Amazon might have even tried to acquire them in the past or something similar, but maybe some Amazon combination, maybe that would be an interesting acquirer. Or if he thinks this is just destined to fail and Roomba, will not recover, and that tech is not worth looking at for the big tech companies. Nick said they went up nicely on earnings and then tanked on guidance. MU earnings this week. We'll see if MU follows the same path as Broadcom did last week. I have another earnings to talk about as well. We have Nike earnings on Thursday. and we saw that Lululemon was able to bounce on their earnings. So I'm wondering if we're seeing a bit of rotation as well now, maybe from tech to other things that haven't worked in the markets in recent months and years. Maybe people are taking their gains and buying the dips in other companies. So it'll be interesting. If we had Broadcom react negatively last week, we'll have to keep our eyes on Micron this week. And we had Lulu positively last week. And if we see Nike, I think that might confirm the switch we're seeing in the current state of tech versus everything else in the market. We were talking about that stat a few weeks ago where if you take the performance of the S&P 500 from the launch of ChatGPT until now, with AI stocks, it was 70 something percent gains, and without them, it was like 20% gains. So we've seen severe outperformance in AI names for a while now. It was just a 3-year anniversary this past November. So maybe it's time for a bit of a rotation in the markets. JC said Lulu may have bounced because the CEO announced his departure. Oh man, that doesn't feel good when you're the CEO of a company and you announce your departure or firing, and the stock rallies on that news. That's got to be a dagger to the ego on when that happens. But we shall see. Maybe a new CEO is exactly what they need. This guy said thoughts on Rivian. Doesn't look good in Prospero signals, but it's been on a good run in the past month. Let's check it out in the app. I haven't been following it too closely. I saw Lucid look terrible in the app, so we'll see if Rivian is looking any better. 82 downside, 33 upside, 70 net option sentiment. All right, it's got a decent net option sentiment. But yeah, that upside to downside is pretty scary levels right there. I think the problem for these companies is they just, well, first of all, they are unprofitable, and they just went public at such high market cap valuations. Like Rivian is still a $23 billion market cap, even though the stock has struggled for so long in the markets. I will say, when I see their cards on the roads, they look pretty nice. So maybe they can finally, their stock hasn't performed for long enough where they can finally catch a bid here. Let's see. You said they've been performing well nicely. The past 1 month up 25%, 3 months 37%. This year they're up 40%. Yeah, but when you zoom out, pretty well off their IPO price of about 106.75 per share. It looks like they probably split or something because that looks like a high IPO. But yeah, we have Presto talking about Tesla absolutely face ripping today. 100 technical. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla up 4% on the day. You're right. Even in a market where growth stocks and tech are not doing great, Tesla up 4%. You're seeing some true strength right there. Wow. And it's approaching its all-time highs again. I think it hit, yeah, let's see. Last year, just about this time last year, it hit, what did it hit? Around 480 per share. So we're just under the all-time highs right now. It's going to be interesting to watch once that breaks, if it's instantly to 500. But yeah, Tesla is looking good and showing some true momentum and strength here today. I want to follow up on some of the space companies. We talked about the story of SpaceX going public, possibly for 1.5 trillion market cap next year. And this news set some real strength for EchoStar, ticker SATS, which we've covered on the streams a while ago, because EchoStar actually has a large position in SpaceX. Well, large with the type of valuation that they're going to go public at. I think they own roughly 3% of SpaceX, which would equate to about $43 billion in equity if SpaceX was to go public at that valuation. And EchoStar is currently trading at around $30 billion market cap. So there's some potential there. We're going to definitely be following this story as it progresses over the next couple months, because it seems to get a lot of views. People are interested in it. So we'll give an update for EchoStar and SpaceX. And then also ASTS, I want to give an update for, because their Bluebird 6 is now all set, ready to go. The official date for launch in December has not been set yet, but it is expected to be announced very soon. And they gave an update as to the expected launch frequency for 2026. So we will update on ASTS as well. A few more topics to go through before we get George on in here and go through them in detail. We have Zillow dropping today. Let me make sure this is still the case. And it's because of Google. And I was reminded of George's Google so hot right now meme. Yeah, Zillow is down 10% now, down even more so than just a little while ago because Google, it's being rumored that they are testing a new real estate feature with their partnership with Come Home and doing a lot of the things that Zillow does right now. I feel like this is an interesting question of like, is Google just going to do everything? I mean, what can't they do with their AI technology in the coming years as things progress? It seems like every product or service that is especially digital, it seems like Google is going to be able to compete with, and that's worrisome for a lot of companies, especially Zillow today. Flourish Prince said, "What can you say about Nvidia stock?" Nvidia stock, you say? Let's take a look at the signals in Prospero. Currently has a 93 upside, 31 downside, 75 net option sentiment. I feel like Nvidia is being a bit of a victim to just how much it has grown, how much gains it has had in recent months and years. I think the stock is digesting right now. And the whole AI tech um, growth cycle is, I feel like the narrative for it is currently being questioned. And I think it's just going to probably move sideways. If it drops at all, I feel like people will definitely buy the dip in that company being the leader. But yeah, I think they're kind of just everything's being figured out right now with that whole AI um, wave of innovation that we've been seeing. A lot of these stocks have made huge moves and have really carried the market for 3 years now. So a little bit of digestion is probably not too much of a bad thing. All right, I already mentioned we're going to go through Nike earnings, so I won't take you through that again. But the last one I have today is actually the estimated. This one is a little bit of less stock market related, but just an interesting financial story, I thought. The FTC estimates that seniors lose up to 81 and a half or lost up to $81.5 billion in 2024 on fraud, which when I saw that number, I was just like, what? $81.5 billion? Now I understand why I get so many scam calls because it's a lucrative business. Even though I'm not a senior, I can't imagine how many they are getting on a daily basis. Hello, George. Welcome to the stream today.
Hello.
Um, so yeah, that number is a bit staggering, but we will come back to that later on for sure. George, we are seeing the market kind of in a tizzy today. All of the indices are down right now. It is pretty amazing how poorly certain stocks are performing. Some of the smaller and mid cap ones that are the growth names, and where the indice levels are. I mean, we're not so far off all time highs, just within a couple percentage points. So the bloodbath we're seeing underneath the surface versus those like top Mag 7 names that are holding us up is pretty crazy. Um, but I don't think this is unexpected for you. We've seen SPY and QQQ NOS remain low, and they were at 3 for QQQ and 0 for SPY today. I'm wondering, I know in the newsletter we mentioned the yen carry trade again for the first time in a while. Could you provide any insights for the stream viewers on that and your thoughts there? And do you think that's the number one issue and why we're seeing the weakness right now in the market?
I think there's a lot going. I think that's like a catalyst. But I think we're in a market that is just, kept getting all-time highs. I think the Oracle, earnings, I think made people a little more nervous about the AI trade. Um, so when you're in a market that's like topped out like this, I think we're going to see some volatility, especially until the rate situation has worked out. I think that like Powell was pretty clear that it's a complete dice roll. Actually, let's check on. I haven't looked.
While you're checking on the USA Fed odds, the BOJ has their meeting the 18th to 19th this week. So people are expecting them to hike. I think it was 90% odds, which won't help either.
Yeah, here we go. So for January, there's a 75% chance of rates staying the same. So I think that's reflected. I think that's what's going on. I think I think the market has started to get a little nervous about the rate situation. Um, and you know, Japan raising rates is huge. That's why we focused on it. Um, but yeah, it's something to watch for. I think that's creating the skittishness. Um, I mean, obviously, we always talk about like, maybe Powell's going to get replaced. They want a more friendly, environment. It seems to be like these meetings seem to be getting more and more contentious. I think as some people with more aligned with the Trump administration start getting in there, and then you have kind of like the old guard, and there seems to be a lot of infighting. That's what I'm starting to take from these meetings. Um, but yeah, I think people are going to be apprehensive until we get more clarity on this.
So are we getting into this cycle where, because I remember before the last Fed meeting, there was some uncertainty about whether they'd cut, then the market dropped for a few days, and it was like, okay, they're going to cut. Is that what's going to happen this time, where the market is dictating what the Fed's going to do just by the instant weakness we see in it when the odds are not in favor for a rate cut? And would you expect, if the market continues to drop, that rate cut odds will increase for the next meeting?
Um, I wouldn't say it's about the market. Um, I think it's just about, you know, the labor, the dual mandate, as Powell says. I think there are other forces that want to stimulate the market, but I mean, the market is at or near all-time highs. So, like, you can only expect uh some of these corrections, some of this apprehension. Like, there needs to be a catalyst to keep bringing it up, because right now it just feels like people are saying, like, if rates stay the same, the rate reduction isn't going to be the catalyst. So I think that's why we're seeing a bit of a ceiling.
Now, what is not at or near all-time highs is Bitcoin. And I was reading the newsletter, I started wondering, does the yen carry trade, or do you think it affects crypto and Bitcoin the same way it does stocks, or do you think Bitcoin has its own different issues affecting the
Oh no,
price?
I think even more. I think people yes, I think people are getting liquidity from Japanese banks that is going into a lot of different areas. So I think that's part of it. I also just like, as I shared in the letter last week, I think as this retail market matures, I think people are looking for more than just a YOLO play. And I think just the, stock go up, coin, burr, like all, all that stuff. Um, I think I'm seeing an evolution, and there's always a natural evolution in people's investment education journeys. And I think that's why we're seeing some of, like, a stock like ASTS hit a bottom and bounce up, um, but not Bitcoin, right? Because people can tell, like, the market is showing that people can tell the difference between um, a stock with structural long-term advantages and a stock that's just been, beaten up.
So it sounds like the market would be a source of truth right now, then, for maybe if we're at the tail end of this current positivity bull market in the stock market and we need a little bit of a pullback or just digestion. If you see strength in stocks during or throughout this period, that's a clear sign that maybe they could be leaders in the next bull market that we see, or just momentum coming back into the markets.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I think, to your point, it was a very good point. The indexes are outperforming a lot of the growth names that we like. So I think there's room for those growth names to run back up, but we have to see, talking about it more and more. The market is so much about feelings, and I think right now those feelings are apprehensive, and they need to find some optimism again.
So one story I saw, which I was pretty surprised by, is that Alibaba's Qwen LLM AI model is now the most downloaded open source AI model in the world with over 600 million downloads. Its main the thing it dominates is multiple language use case. It's viewed as the best for that from this article I was reading. I know that was kind of Meta's space in this whole AI technology was like they were going to be the leader of the open source movement of it with their Llama. Do you think this success for Alibaba is kind of why we've seen Metastock struggle more recently? And what are your thoughts on Alibaba at the moment? I know they've looked pretty good in our signals for a lot of the year.
Yeah, I've been watching them. I've been thinking about getting back into that name. I do like what they're doing in AI. I'm not sure how much it's connected to Meta. I think, you know, Meta is more about like I think people are nervous about that CapEx spending. Um, I think it's all related to that Michael Burry stuff. Uh, but yeah, I think Alibaba is, you know, one of the things I've been observing is that, as China relations seems to be improving, we had, the H100s approved last week. It's been hurting these like some of these rare earth minerals, nuclear stocks because um, domestic nuclear rare earth stuff goes up the more tension we have with China. Um, so we're looking for you know, a turnaround there. Um, but yeah, I think Meta is. I don't think this AI. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it's in a bit of a slump because of AI spending. But it's Meta keeps chugging along. It's a good stock to have in your portfolio. It's a stable stock. That's why we like it.
Now, just from the using for our viewers, like if they're curious about testing out this Quen model, do you have any reservations? Like I saw that I looked up this app, it's available on the App Store. Would you use it? Or like since it's China based, would you have any reservations in testing it out, making an account there, trying it? How do you feel about that?
I mean, China can spy on all of us. Um, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Like everybody, your information's out there already. Like, yes, if you have like a highly sensitive job, maybe you don't want a local Quen model, something with national security. But otherwise, who cares? Like China hacks into our systems all the time. Um, Google has all your data, everybody has all your data. It's I think that's almost always overblown.
It sounds like you're just almost gaslighting yourself if by not downloading it, you think you're protecting yourself. It's like, well, too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
I see a comment from Nick in our chat. With rate cuts being bullish, the last two were predicted with a strong confidence level, and then the market fell both times after the cut came in. Interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, um I think that's more about the guidance. Like Powell definitely poured some cold water, a little cold water last time before the rate cut, where it was like he was saying everybody expects a rate cut. It's not set in stone, right? It's not a given. But this time he went even further to say, um, don't count on it, right? And that's why the markets are, that's why we saw the odds that way. It went from like, don't assume to like, might not happen. So yeah, that is a bit of a shift.
Well, now he's got a follow-up point too. Now with the BOJ rate hike that's predicted with almost certainty for this week, would it be the opposite, you think, where we drop leading into it, and then once it's confirmed, you rally off of it in kind of the inverse scenario there?
B, yeah, I mean, we don't. That'll be an interesting situation where we don't really know how much of the rally, like how much of the Friday's market troubles was from that. But I think we'll find out more based on this event after. That's an interesting theory. Um, but I would actually expect um no, I think I could see that happening. I could see a negative reaction on the news, kind of like that in reverse. But I wouldn't bet on it. We'll see where net option sentiment is. Um, but yeah, it's there's too many factors, and like I said, we're theorizing that we thought it was the BOJ that pushed the market down Friday, but that's just a theory.
Mhm. I wanted to bring up some of the earnings moves we saw. You mentioned Oracle, but Broadcom as well, now down about 15% from their all-time high. Um, you could when you zoom in like that, it looks bad, but when you zoom out to the year to date, they're still at 46%. They were approaching a $2 trillion market cap, pretty crazy. What are your thoughts on the chip space and the state of AI at the moment? Are you For the past couple of years, it was slam dunk like by these companies. Do you think we could be heading for like even if we believe the rally will ultimately continue, not just like a week or whatever of digestion, but like maybe a longer period where these stocks kind of are growing into their valuations?
I mean, the chip stocks especially, I feel like they function as some multiplier of the QQQ. Like, I think if people are feeling bullish on the market overall, the chips get some kind of amplification effect because they are uh, growth and profitability. But a lot of that future growth is priced in. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how, like, that's why we're steering people towards other structural things like LEU or ASTS, um, because like it's very hard to know like how people are going to feel about the markets with these rates things, these growth stocks are getting hit. I'd rather, we're trying to steer towards what we feel are structural economic advantages that aren't just going to go up at a higher multiple than growth stocks generally. That's what we're trying to navigate to, and I think that's the smart move right now.
I'm a little surprised with how some of these stocks have moved after we had the Mag 7 all kind and speaking about it with Meta before, like continuing or upping their spend on, their infrastructure AI chips. So are you surprised with how some of these stocks have moved or no, it's expected because like you were saying it was priced in already?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Um, like, are you saying the down moves?
Yeah, especially after those orders and expected spending from the, trillion-dollar
Well,
club.
first of all, Oracle is like we've seen it go up like 50%. Oracle is a highly volatile stock. I mean, the amount that people play momentum on that is crazy. Um, but Broadcom is a little bit different. All of these companies have a lot of growth priced into them. So if they miss it even by a little, they're going to get punished. And we say that going into Nvidia earnings all the time, where it's just like everybody knows they're going to have a stellar earnings, but it's just like how great, right? That's what they're ultimately judged on. And I think that if you don't have a great one, you're going to get hit. Just because people are pricing in so much optimism into these stocks. So if there's anything that changes that narrative even a little bit, um, it's not going to go up.
Speaking of a company that has gotten punished by the markets, iRobot, which I pulled it up in Prospero, has a 76 downside and only 6 upside, 100 short pressure, actually just declared bankruptcy. Um, I'm wondering, are you a little bit surprised how this company could never catch any footing or have any success in the markets with their Roomba, self-driving or automated little vacuum that they had? It seems like a product that would be kind of, people would want. So maybe it was the product wasn't so effective, or are you not surprised by the fact that this company could never catch its footing?
They had a little moment, but it's like kind of interesting because you don't. I saw them before, a lot more than I see them now. So I think it was kind of like a novelty at the beginning, but I just don't think those things work. very well at the end of the day. Like vacuuming is not that difficult. And like those robots are just, yeah, I just think it's not the best product. Um, but yeah, like I don't know if I'm trying to remember like the last, I feel like 10 years ago, I would see them around and be like, look at my new robot. But like, I can't remember the last time I saw um, a robot vacuum in someone's house, which just tells you that they don't really work. It's just a novelty, it's a novelty, something you show off, but it's not like something that actually cleans your house well.
You know, it reminds me, I don't know if you remember like the hoverboard craze where there was like one Christmas where like every kid wanted those like little self-balancing hoverboards. And investing in a company like that where it's like they only have one product basically, it's how do you decipher between whether that has like a long-standing business or it's just kind of like a fad or a craze. Um, like the fidget spinners as well. It's like I feel like it can be tough to decipher between the durability of it sometimes.
Yeah. I think people get excited about a technology. I think it's a little different because in the case of like a hoverboard, that didn't really do what it was supposed to do. In the case of a robot vacuum, it kind of it does what it's supposed to do, but it's just like you don't really need it's not that great of a thing. It's kind of like a novelty. And it misses spots, it's hard to get corners, so it's just like you need to vacuum anyway. So then what's the point?
hmm Now, JC has a great idea, I think. What if they convert them to lawnmowers? Now, that's a lot more work. You're out there sweating. Some people have big yards. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've never mowed a lawn in my life.
Oh my God, George. I have to do it all the time. Um, Oh, I have another question. Now that they're going bankrupt, do you think, we've been kind of poo-pooing their product here, so maybe not, but do you think they'd be an interesting acquisition for any like Amazon or something, trying to just get in the homes and maybe Amazon could even upgrade the product offering if they put some of their own tech and spin on it?
I mean, maybe, but like that's the thing. Like, I don't know how special their technology is, right?
We
Like
have, yeah.
what?
No, I was just gonna move on, but yeah. We have a question from Futures Man. Any thoughts on the cannabis stocks? Trump is supposed to reclassify them.
Yeah, the Trump administration has been all over this. We actually were shorting Tilray, um, because it came up low in our signal. So I think some people may have been playing that news. Um, but yeah, I mean, the cannabis stocks were always at a huge multiple, and they were just kind of like waiting for more news. Waiting, like it was a bet that the laws. When you own a cannabis stock, you're basically betting on legislation, right? Because like they're not going to earn that for a long time. Everybody's speculating on them. So yeah, when the legislation goes the other way, it's going to be very bad. That's why I've never gotten into that kind of thing because I don't really like to bet on legislation.
Well, that's kind of like similar to the nuclear, I feel like, but nuclear is so much more certain, right? The legislation aspect.
Nuclear nuclear is an imperative. Like people don't need to smoke weed. They like to smoke weed. But our country needs that's a mandate. We need to advance our nuclear capabilities. Like it's just even for just defense. Everybody knows China's ahead of us. And like, yeah, we know that. So that's when we're always talking about like structural things in the market. That's a good difference to highlight, right? It's like there's some momentum behind the legalization of marijuana, but it's not an inevitability that it's going to loosen up. It is an inevitability that we will be spending a lot of money to advance our domestic nuclear companies, probably even investing in them directly.
And it's topics like this is why we get 1,500 viewers already tuning into the stream, because who would have thought you'd be comparing cannabis with nuclear when you started the show? But that's what we do here at the Prospero streams. JC
Oh
said
yeah.
cannabis stocks seem high to me, but I'm bummed. Good one, JC.
Good one.
I wanted to follow up also on our space story that we covered last week of SpaceX's IPO next year, which was rumored to be as high as 1.5 trillion, because there's a stock that's looked very good in the Prospero signals that is pretty much trading like a SpaceX proxy now. We covered them a while ago when they had their own story, but SATS is the ticker, EchoStar. They own roughly 3% of SpaceX from their sales to them in the past, where they were paid in equity. So if SpaceX IPO'd at 1.5 trillion next year, their equity would be about $43 billion, and they currently have a 30 billion market cap. So they've seen some good strength in the stock rallying, and they were actually at the top of our bull list last week. So maybe
Yeah,
claiming the number one spot over ASTS at this point for the space sector.
I know. I would be in it if I didn't want to get like I wonder how it's doing today. It's interesting. Not as bad as ASTS. Yeah, I just don't want to be overexposed to space. But it looks great. It's really been charging in the signals. Um, so SATS is wow, 94 upside, 100 in option sentiment, maxed out. And ASTS is 100 upside, 93 in option sentiment. So they're both yeah. People are betting on space. That's for sure.
So let's do it like would you rather between them. So it seems like SATS, the main driver of their stock right now, is just the SpaceX exposure essentially, whereas ASTS is kind of their own technology and business. So how do you weigh out those two in your head, and which one is more attractive to you between like those two different bull cases for the stocks?
I prefer ASTS. I mean, especially going into this launch that they're going to do. I just feel like in previous times, the launches have gone very well for them. So that seems like a slam dunk.
And ASTS actually just did update that their Bluebird 6 was encapsulated, and they will go on with this launch in December, which the exact date has not been announced, but it should be coming soon. And then next year, they anticipate a launch on average every 45 days. So looks like they're going to really kick things off in a big way next year, and get really
Mm.
active with launches.
People like those. Yeah, it says December. What? It says December 15th. Is it launching today?
I don't think so. I don't know. I
Maybe
saw a tweet from their account confirming that it will happen, but it didn't give a date.
Okay.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on it regardless. We have a question from Nick in the chat. What are your thoughts on MU earnings this week?
My graphs look pretty bad in the signals lately. Let me look at their chart. I don't love that chart. Let's look at MU. 70 in option sentiments, okay.
I would imagine seeing what Broadcom did last week would not be beneficial, and you're thinking of Micron, correct or no? Or are they unrelated?
Agreed. No, I mean it's like tangential.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean I just don't like there's so many other chip stocks to play, especially like the smaller cap plays. That yeah, I just don't want to I wouldn't want to do that. Like CoreWeave's pretty beat up. I'm keeping my eye on that. I continue to keep my eye on Inod. Like there's some really good up and comers. in chips that you can just get a much better reward to risk ratio.
So like the AMDs, Nvidias, Broadcoms, Microns, all less attractive than a lot of the like smaller cap ones.
Yeah, rather than smaller ones.
Hmm. And I would imagine, I mean, that only makes sense, which with how big these stocks have grown, these companies have grown, and how well they've performed, that some newcomers will take some of that performance as it's easier to grow when you're a smaller company. One company that's not doing great in the markets today, which is not uncommon with how the market has been moving, although the QQQ and the SPY have both now ticked up into the. Oh wait, no, they went back in the red. Excuse me. They tried to go green for a brief moment, but they're back in the red now. Um, but the stock that is not doing great today is Zillow, which is down over 10% after news came out that Google is testing a mobile real estate ad unit that pulls MLS listings from their partner Come Home, with full details, filters, request a tour, a linking button, and top rated agents. So it looks like Google
Interesting.
might expand into real estate. What are your thoughts for this side of the story for Zillow and Google as well?
I mean, there's so many businesses that I'm always just like, Google should do that. So, I mean, yeah, they have the data, they have all like, yes, I think that that's like a perfect business for them. Like, especially as it becomes more tech enabled, you don't even really need a person to sell a house now. Um, floor plans are more automated, like there's door, like, um, I think that's a business that's, ripe for disruption, as they say. And Google, like we always talk about this, Google is in as good of anyone in terms of like what they can deploy because they have this really smart brain technology. They have tons of data and understanding of the consumer. Um, a lot of different kinds of products and touch points. So yeah, I mean, it's like it's super easy for them. It's something that they should do.
So I would imagine that you would not be buying the dip in Zillow and see a pretty dismal future for them.
No, I wouldn't. I never liked the Zillow business.
Hmm. Now it's funny that you mentioned like Google should do everything because I kind of said that also in the beginning of the stream before you were here, and I'm just wondering like what is the limit to features and products that Google could make, especially like digital ones that are like digital services. Um, like I mean, how big can they grow? How many can they expand? We've already talked about how they're kind of monopolistic. Like, where is the end to the services that they could offer, especially in that digital space?
Um, I don't think there really is one like that's why I say like if you want to own any companies for the next 10 years, I would own the cloud providers. Like that's where Microsoft, Amazon, Google because they can they have the compute, they're on like which puts them in with all these businesses. And it just makes them able to do it. Like most businesses are data businesses now. And if you have the data and you have the technology and thinking brain, we're going to an increasingly AI enabled world. Like, why wouldn't those companies be in the best place to do it?
And I think the only argument would be like that. So say you're like Airbnb, and it's like all you do is vacation listing, planning, rental, yada yada yada. Like that's what your focus is as a company. Maybe you could have a better specialty and like intelligence in that area than if you're like Google and you have all these different businesses. But now with AI and the fact that they can like deploy that at scale in all these different spaces, do you think like these specialty companies just won't be able to compete because they don't have really any edge anymore once AI is deployed in all these different areas?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to get harder and harder, without a doubt.
So it seems like all businesses are going to like be consolidated into like 10 companies or something like that. Like I don't know. Like if you go
Yeah,
down far
everything's
enough.
AI now, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. That's, Karl Marx said that a long time ago. he was
Mhm.
right so far that the means of production just gets more and more concentrated over time. Like that's a truth of capitalism.
That's why I wonder if we gonna see these big companies broken up? Like, if you had to bet in our lifetimes that we'll see them split up, you'd say no?
No, they're too powerful. And like our country's run on capital. So
Who's the
like
boss?
yeah, exactly. These are big donors. Like, we're seeing just more and more of the role of money in politics and the alignment, now more than ever. And I just don't think that I think business dictates the government, and it's becoming more and more true. It has been true for a little while, but it's becoming more and more true.
Mhm. Question from Dan. How do you explain tokenization? Would you say it's similar to the idea of Google when they scan every page of a book by hand, digitize the world? Couldn't Google just tokenize the world with every book title they scan in theory?
I don't really know what in particular you're talking about tokenization here. But yeah, I mean you can tokenize anything. What I don't like about tokenized securities is that, you know, everybody doesn't want naked shorts. And neither do I. But naked shorts are based on a certain relationship between the security and the collateral and the loan around the collateral, and there's a certain amount of legal leverage. um, Even banks that are breaking the rules or counterparties, they'll have some of their own rules even if they do it right. Tokenization you could create because you don't actually own the security. You can create an infinite amount of shares and just completely manipulate the market. So I hate tokenization. And it's like one of those things, like all I always say it, all these retail investors, like, do Robinhood, 24-hour markets, the 24-hour markets, the markets are just providing liquidity. Like, so when you trade in the 24-hour market, you're basically trading at a price that Citadel wants or something like that because it's not a free open market at night. So there's a lot of things that retail investors like, but that actually increases their disadvantages.
Since we're on this, I was watching this interesting YouTube video by CoffeeZilla, who's a very big creator on YouTube, and he was covering the what's it called, prediction markets, and he was sharing quotes of different CEOs of these companies, and also Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, and how they were actually supporting insider trading with their quotes. I would highly suggest if you guys like our streams, you would like his video on it. But it was super interesting to hear the take and then hear kind of the what the CEOs are actually saying within that space. And it goes into what you're saying with tokenization of kind of you know, the problems with it. Uh,
I'll have to check that
oh,
out.
we got a comment from the Nightbot sharing our investing and trading newsletter in the chat. If anybody's curious and you're not a subscriber yet, you could click on those links and subscribe to them. We got a few more topics here today. First, we have Nike reporting earnings this Thursday, and Lulu was actually able to bounce last week, similar company
Yeah,
from their earnings from depressed levels. Would you expect that Nike, which is a stock that also hasn't worked for a while, could have a similar fate as Lulu?
we should have trusted the Prospero signals more and not the generative AI. See, that's why we got to use both of them. Um, Yeah, I mean, I think like Lululemon's been hit really hard, but they still have good. Let's see, I don't know what their profitability is. Let's check it out. Yeah, 74 profitability, highly profitable company. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's value there.
Are these companies more trades than long-term investments? Like you were saying, buy and hold the cloud stocks for the next 10 years. Are these companies like that, or are they more so just like a quick recovery
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
kind
I
of
think
sell?
Lulu is definitely a like rebound candidate where, maybe wait for it to go up to 15, 20%, reclaim some of the ground it's lost, and then get the hell out.
Nick is asking in the chat, is the end of year survey discount over?
Yes. But we're gonna do, I mean, that was a 60% discount. We'll do our normal 50% one probably next week.
Can you share any insights? Were you surprised by any findings from the survey or?
Oh yeah, I gotta pull up the funniest thing. You gotta love how retail investors think about this stuff. So, so 43.9% of respondents said they were bullish, and 70.4% of respondents said the market was overvalued. So a little
Wait, that
a
could
little
work. It's the
cognitive
momentum market.
a little cognitive dissonance there. Yeah, I mean, but it's the wrong way of thinking about it. Like, I don't think the market is overvalued because if I thought it was overvalued, then I wouldn't want to be long, you know? Like it's just funny the way people like wrap their heads around this stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think that's like the FOMO or animal spirits, as they say, of like, yeah, nobody feels good about this price of stocks, but they keep going up, so like people keep buying them. Um, People are swayed by the momentum, really, and I
Most
guess the fear of
definitely.
missing out.
Hmm.
We have one more topic to go on the stream today. So let me just thank everybody for being here throughout the whole stream. Please like it up if you have enjoyed the topic so far. And also comment any questions if we haven't covered something you wanted to have discussed on the stream. Just comment it right now and we'll be happy to jump into it. But this story, not so stock specific, but it caught my eye. I was pretty shocked to see the price of fraud that the FTC estimates goes on. Um, so for 2024, the FTC estimates that seniors were defrauded of about $81.5 billion. Now, can you imagine that much money is somehow stolen by fraud? Like, it seems like such a high number to me.
That's crazy. I mean, but also like those like fake texts, I don't know about you, but I get like 5 or 6 fake texts a day. Like
Fake
maybe not,
text
maybe that's an
calls.
exaggeration, but like I would probably say like 5 or 6 a week. It's nuts. Like these things are out of control.
I don't know, like for 81.5 billion to add up, like you would need somebody, I feel like, to get scammed of like $20 million or something. Like you need some big
No,
chunks in
it
there.
all adds up. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, a lot. I think it's a lot of people, a lot of
Mhm.
little cuts.
It is kind of sad that like the seniors are the people that are really preyed upon for that. Um, and I guess it's always been that way as tech de- like goes on, they
Well,
can't
I
keep
mean,
up and then.
I don't think it's like old people specifically. It's just like they'll like they're casting a wide net, and it
Mhm.
just happens to be old people that fall for it, you know?
Imagine with AI now though, like imagine if you're an older person, you get a text and it's like a photo of a relative doing something
Oh,
or in a
I know, it's
situation.
crazy.
It's really scary. I mean, it's already,
Yeah.
I've already seen it because like I have like big family group chats, and my younger brother likes to mess with people and post AI photos in there, and people fall for it like really easily. Like they have no idea. Some of my older aunts and uncles, like,
There's
the world's too
calls
small.
now too. Like people calling and like they can mimic voices. It's
Yeah.
crazy
hmm
of your
JC said
loved one.
yeah, my daughter watched Scammer Payback. It's unbelievable what goes on. Well, I'll have to check that out. I have not seen that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, alrighty,
All
George, we
right,
didn't get any
make it.
questions, so you wanted to switch over? Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody, stick with me. George will be right back in a moment in the Prospero laboratory. We'll do the model portfolio update. So we're going to make live moves to the portfolio, adds and drops, longs and shorts. so you get to see exactly how we are managing it amidst the volatility and chaos here today. We are seeing the indices all in the red still, but we kind of hit that low for the day in the beginning of the day, and we've been trending more sideways since, so maybe we can catch a bid here. Let's take a peek back at the QQQ and SPY net options sentiment to see how they are doing. No change since the beginning of the stream today. So we are still seeing 3 for QQQ and 0 for SPY. So no change in the net option sentiments levels. Let's actually check and see what our short-term bull list. So this is the list when you first open the Prospero app that you see, and they're the leaders in our signals. We're currently seeing Boeing, AppLovin, United Healthcare, Meta, Intel, Deckers Outdoor, Eli Lilly, and Google twice, and Nike actually. Oh, interesting. Ahead of their earnings, Nike has 81 net option sentiment, 89 net social sentiment. Interesting to see there. All right, let's take a look how some of the Mag 7 stocks are moving today. We have Apple in the red, Amazon in the red, Google in the red, Meta green, Microsoft red, Tesla green. Tesla's still up 4% here, getting back towards those all-time highs. And NVIDIA, I believe, is in the green as well. Yes, NVIDIA in the green. So we're seeing some split action amongst the mega caps here. Bitcoin, we covered a little bit in the beginning. Let's see how it is doing. Wow, Bitcoin underperforming, down almost 4% here. So no love there. And it's actually heading back towards the lows. So I think that's a big uh-oh in crypto land. George, Tesla's up almost 4% today. Really getting close to those all-time highs. It's actually up over 4% now, getting close to those all-time highs.
What's going on?
I actually don't know. Maybe, I wonder if it's just like bullishness of the SpaceX and the Elon effect.
General Elon Musk bullishness. That could be it. Okay, we're doing this. Getting that up. Too small.
JC said Tesla signed a battery deal in Europe. That could be the driver.
Could be. Okay, let me. Oh, I'm gonna do. I'm overdue on a screen or two.
JC said he loves the bells going on in the background.
Okay, Steven, let me know when that's in the app.
Will do.
I will continue doing this. Where are the NOSs at?
It updated. The QQQ is 3 and the SPY is 0.
There we go.
Energy looks like a good place for bear exposure. And healthcare, consumer discretionary on the long side.
Oh. Looks more like it. what's going on with Booking.com. It's really doing well in our signals.
I've never understood that stock. They need a stock split desperately.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What's going on with ARM today? I might add it as a short right now. Yeah, what's going on with you? Home Depot. I don't know if I've ever had that in. It looks good. And that feels good to me.
We were already even long short. We will move a little more in that direction.
Okay. Any questions?
No new questions in the chat. I think that's going to do it for today, but we will be back live Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope to see everybody then. And we'll continue to see how the market develops this week, if we continue weak until then or not. We'll keep our eyes on it. Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.